On March 6, 1925, a woman named Miriam Ferguson was sworn in as the governor of Texas. She became the first female governor in American history. But her victory was not only because she was a woman, it was due to her husband being involved in a major scandal. So why was she elected? What did she do during her time as governor? And why is she still relevant today? Welcome to my channel. Today we will be taking a look back into American history, where we will meet a woman who was once the toast of the nation, but has since been forgotten by almost everyone. Her legacy has been buried under layers of sexism, political corruption, and the passage of time. But before we begin, I need to warn you that this video contains potentially offensive content due to the nature of the patriarchal context. Viewer discretion is advised. Before delving into the story of America's first female governor, it's crucial to understand the societal norms and attitudes towards women in politics during the early 20th century. Back then, the idea of a woman in such a high position was unheard of. In fact, even the right for women to vote had only been established 7 years. Prior to Miriam's election in 1919, with the passage of the 19th Amendment, this means that most people had never seen a woman hold any kind of political office, let alone the governorship of an entire state. Miriam was running against a man named William Hobby, who was the incumbent Democratic Party gubernatorial candidate. He had previously served 2 terms as governor. However, he had recently been involved in a major scandal. You see, Hobby had been involved in a major scandal involving illegal sales of alcoholic liquor during the period of Prohibition. While many politicians had accepted bribes to turn a blind eye to the sales of alcohol, Hobby had been directly involved in the scheme. He had accepted over $1 million in bribes from bootleggers and gangsters, which translated to around $15 million today. This was a huge amount and made him one of the most corrupt governors in Texas history. After being indicted for his involvement in the scandal, Hobby decided to run for the Senate instead. However, the timing could not have been worse. With the Republican Party split over the issue of Prohibition, Hobby found himself in a 3-way race, and he ended up losing. When he realized that he might not win, Hobby dropped out of the race and endorsed Miriam Ferguson, hoping that his endorsement would help her win. Despite the controversy surrounding her husband, Miriam was able to capitalize on Hobby's endorsement and won the election by a landslide. However, this victory was not without its challenges. Even though she had won, there were still many people who believed that a woman had no place in politics, and when she took her oath, she became the target of many sexist remarks and jokes. Some people even claimed that her election was a fluke and that she would never be able to serve effectively as governor. But those who doubted her abilities were soon proven wrong. As soon as she took office, Miriam began working hard to make a positive impact. One of her first acts as governor was to pardon 300 people who had been convicted of minor offenses. She also appointed several women to key positions in her administration, including the first woman to serve as Attorney General in Texas history. Additionally, she created a new Department of Public Safety to protect the state from crime and lawlessness. One of her most significant accomplishments as governor was the introduction of a new educational curriculum that emphasized patriotism and the importance of voting. This initiative was particularly impactful as it helped to increase voter turnout among women and minorities. Furthermore, she worked tirelessly to improve the lives of working people by advocating for better labor laws and higher minimum wages. Her commitment to social justice was evident in her support for civil rights and her opposition to discrimination based on race or religion. Despite facing constant criticism from her political opponents, Miriam remained focused on her goals and continued to work hard to improve the state of Texas. One of the most significant challenges she faced during her first term was the severe drought that hit the state. She worked closely with federal officials to secure emergency funding and resources to help farmers and ranchers who were struggling to cope with the drought. Her efforts were successful in mitigating the worst effects of the drought and helping those affected by the disaster to recover. Another major accomplishment of Miriam's first term was the construction of new roads and bridges across the state. She recognized the importance of infrastructure in driving economic growth and improving the quality of life for Texans. And she invested heavily in road construction projects that connected rural areas to major cities. These projects not only created jobs but also helped to stimulate the economy by making it easier for goods and services to be transported across the state. In addition to her work on infrastructure projects, Miriam was also a strong advocate for the arts and culture. She supported the construction of new museums and cultural centers, and she worked to promote tourism in the state. Miriam was also a champion of women's rights, and she used her platform as governor to advocate for equal pay and equal access to education and healthcare. She appointed qualified women to positions of power, and she worked to ensure that their voices were heard in the political process. But perhaps Miriam's greatest accomplishment during her first term was her response to the Great Depression. When the stock market crashed in 1929, Texas, like the rest of the country, was hit hard. Unemployment skyrocketed and businesses collapsed. However, Miriam was able to secure federal funds to help create jobs and provide relief to those who were struggling. She also worked to reform the banking system in order to prevent another financial crisis. Unfortunately, despite all of her accomplishments, Miriam's first term as governor was not without its controversies. One of the biggest controversies surrounding Miriam was the perception that she was a political novice who was only in office because of her husband's scandal. Her critics argued that she lacked the experience and knowledge to effectively govern the state. However, Miriam proved them wrong by working hard and accomplishing more than anyone had expected of her. Another controversy that Miriam faced was the fact that she was a woman in a man's world. Many people believed that she was too emotional to handle the pressures of the job, and that she would be easily influenced by her advisors. However, Miriam showed them that she was more than capable of handling the job, despite the challenges she faced. As her first term came to an end, Miriam knew that she had accomplished a lot, but she also knew that she had a lot more work to do. She ran for re-election in 1928 and won, beginning her second term as governor. During her second term, she continued her work to improve the lives of Texans. She worked to reform the penal system, and she also worked to improve mental health services. She also continued her advocacy for civil rights and women's rights. However, her second term was cut short when she suffered a debilitating stroke in 1932. Despite her health issues, she remained in office until 1933, when she resigned due to her failing health. After leaving office, Miriam's health continued to deteriorate, and she spent her final years in a nursing home. She passed away in 1950 at the age of 64. Despite her untimely death, Miriam's legacy lived on. She had paved the way for future generations of female politicians, and had shown that women were more than capable of holding the highest offices in the land. Her accomplishments during her time as governor were widely celebrated, and she was remembered as a trailblazer for women in politics. Today, Miriam is remembered as one of the most accomplished governors in Texas history. Her accomplishments were not only important for women, but for all Texans. She had worked hard to improve the lives of all people, regardless of gender, race, or religion. She had shown that it was possible for a woman to succeed in a man's world, and had paved the way for future generations of female politicians. In conclusion, Miriam Ferguson's legacy is a testament to the power of hard work, determination, and a commitment to public service. Despite facing numerous obstacles and setbacks, she rose above the challenges and made significant contributions to Texas and the nation as a whole. Her pioneering efforts in women's rights, civil rights, and economic development left a lasting impact on the state and inspired generations of leaders to come. Now it's time for you to share your thoughts. What did you find most interesting about Miriam's life? Do you think she would have accomplished even more if she had not resigned due to her health issues? Or how do you think her gender affected her career as a politician? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.